Welcome to the Buy Box Bandits podcast.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Buy Box Bandits podcast, Q4 Mastery Edition. We hope you're listening to this as you're putting the item in the poly mailer, right? Then you put the label on the poly mailer, then you close the poly mailer, then you rinse and repeat, right? You toss a little picture up on Twitter there and everything. So you guys got to print that merchant-fulfilled wealth the next couple weeks. So we're recording this on December 6th, and we basically want this to be mastery of the Q4 rush. So between like December 6th to the 20th, basically, is like the best time of year, specifically the 10th to the 15th, right? That's when you want to have as much inventory locked and loaded as possible. And as always, make sure you check out our sponsor, Boxem, best shipment analytics and listing tool in the game. You can try it for 2 weeks free on Boxem.com, so you can make it a lot easier to manage and list your FBM order inventory these next couple weeks. How you doing, Garrett?
What's up, man? We're back at it.
Absolutely. Cool. So December 6th, right? December 20th. So there's a couple different parts of Q4, in my opinion, right? October is loading up your FBA inventory, right? The first half of November is your final FBA shipments and starting to mix in merch fulfilled. The last part of November is getting comfortable with merch fulfilled. And then December, where we are right now, is scaling merch fulfilled to the moon. You agree with that?
Yeah, I think to nail it down even more, that transition period is sometime during Thanksgiving week, right? Probably the weekend before Thanksgiving, we start to see some of the Cyber Monday, Black Friday, Thanksgiving sales. And the cool thing is, if we're buying those sorts of deals and using that arbitrage to make money on Amazon, well, that's a whole different market arbitrage that we can start to take advantage of. And I think we've seen a lot of that in the timeline.
Yeah, and the cool thing too is that a very good point on the timeline. Y'all are tagging us like crazy. Make sure you when you're printing that FBM wealth, when you're shipping those FBM orders out, you take a picture, you toss it up on Twitter, tag us, we'll retweet it, we'll amplify you, help you find other cool sellers in the community, right? But those Cyber Monday deals are still going, and that's one of the biggest misconceptions beginners have about Q4 is that they think like Black Friday, Cyber Monday hits and there's never a good deal the whole rest of the year. One, a lot of deals continue. A lot of deals are still going on. And two, who cares if your discount goes from 25% holiday sale to 15% sign up coupon that's around 24/7 if most items that are good end up going up by more than 10%, you're actually more profitable and the volume's higher. And the competition's lower, so there's a bigger pie to take more advantage of. And when you have a bigger buy box percent, you also have more power to increase prices, which we'll talk about too, right? And then one of the biggest questions I've been getting a lot too, and this is a great question, is when does Q4 slow down, right? So in my opinion, don't even worry about that right now. Let the market tell you when Q4 slows down. If you want a hard cutoff date for like when, in general, FBM will stop being the main focus, I'd say Christmas Day or so, right? But what do people get for Christmas super often? Amazon gift cards. Exactly. And where do they have to spend that, right? On our stuff, right?
And you feel like it's burning a hole in your pocket, right? Kids get these gift cards.
Exactly.
They feel it weighing their presence down. So they go right onto the computer that day, the day after, and they're spending it. And so,
exactly, right? And the cool thing is,
we see the sales continue to pick up through January. Halfway through January, it's still bumping.
Yeah, and there hasn't been time for FBA inventory to get back on the market because most people, even if they don't do merch fulfilled, they still don't send FBA shipments in December. A lot of sellers take like December off, right? So what our opinion makes the most sense to do is just hammer merch fulfilled right now, get product to market quick. You can test later, you can restock quicker, right? And because there's a lot less FBA competition right now because people aren't sending shipments, there's a lot more merchant fulfilled buy box share to go around as well, which is, super advantageous, right, to go ahead and take advantage. And then let's break down like a typical purchase, right? So a typical OA purchase, in best case scenario, it's there in 3 days, right? Average scenario, it's there in 5 days, sometimes there in 7 days, right? So say you buy something December 1st. It gets there December 5th on average, right? And then if you want to FBA that thing, right, it's probably not going to be in stock.
December 5th or 6th.
Well, merchant fulfilled, right? But if you want to FBA it, you're going to have to wait 1 to 3 weeks for it to check in, right? Which is fine in January, but it's not fine right now when the other option is to sell it today, merchant fulfilled, and then restock it quick, right? So that's why it just makes a lot of sense to do that, right? And so there's a couple components to the speed component of Q4, right? And I've thought detailed in this, why I got so much game on it, basically, right? In that there's the selling side of things, which you merchant fulfilled, but then it's like how you buy products, right? Which is, are you doing online arbitrage? Are you doing retail arbitrage as well? You probably should, especially this late in the cycle, right? Are you doing pickup orders? Right, you probably should as well this late in the cycle, for example, right? And that a lot of retailers, big retailers, if you're buying an item from Walmart, look below the add to cart or wherever it is, right around there, and see if it's in stock at your local place, and get that in stock today. Merch fill. Right, the best feeling, bro, was during Q4 when I was living in Pennsylvania. I went to a big retailer and picked up 150 units, and then drove to the post office and put them all the things in the parking lot and put the labels on. Now that's an exaggerated case, obviously, because I knew the pickup order was confirmed, so I sold the items just a little bit more advanced, for example, right there. But I know you've done that in the past as well, and that's been an incredible way to get proof of concept with little risk, if any, because you can always just cancel the pickup order and not pay for it. You know,
I mean, the proof of concept is huge, especially for newer sellers going through their first Q4 with limited funds, right? Because to your point, you can be testing 10, 15, 20 SKUs and let the market dictate what's good and what's not, and let the market dictate when to reorder, when not to, right? Because to your point, the FBM cycle is sped up 2 to 3 weeks. And so you're gaining that intel from the market, right? Everyone has kind of a hypothesis in terms of what products are going to be good or not, but you can actually have iterative data, market data to say, okay, reorder 20 of these, reorder 50 of these, reorder 400 of these, as opposed to the FBA seller that has to wait 3 weeks. And that's really the huge part. You can also join more temporary markets, right? Typically with FBA, you're looking for more stable markets, more of a 30-day, 90-day buy box view. However, with the luxury of the speed and efficiency of FBM, say a market is trending between 20 and 25. Today it's up at 32. There's nothing stopping you from buying 5 units and trying to take advantage of that $32 inflated market, right? You have that ease, you have that efficiency because you can join the market in 2 or 3 days, and you don't have to worry about the 4 weeks of FBA transit time and check-in times and that $32 market going back to the norm of 20 to 25. And so, yes, the efficiency cycle, the feedback cycle is huge, but also don't be afraid to join some of those more inflated markets of the sweatshirts, the hoodies, the winter hats, some of those things that are more seasonal that are naturally going to spike in price, because there's a lot of extra money to be made in those sorts of inflated markets that are more seasonal than anything.
Yeah, another good point on that too is there's totally seasonal stuff, but like pretty much the only stuff that is like really seasonal is like holiday specific things. People buy hoodies in July, people buy slides in December. If the sales rank's good and you see good movement on the Keep It chart, go ahead and test it right there, right? You're looking for stable or decreasing competition. That bottom Keep It chart, stable or increasing price. That top Keep It chart right there. You brought up a good point on purchase quantities too. With merchant fulfilled, you can test a lot later. However, this time of year, right? Once an ASIN's proven, once an ASIN's sold well for you, right? Now's the time to potentially start to get uncomfortable in terms of your purchase quantities, right? Because what a lot of beginners don't understand is that a lead doesn't just go from good to not good in like one day. They like, it doesn't just go from like a 40% ROI to break even immediately. It tapers off. Therefore, you're better served going hard and selling. Occasionally you go to a 33% ROI, then a 28% ROI, and then you're like, okay, I'm not going to restock this item. Let me liquidate a 22% ROI. You're still making money on the way down, and you maximize the life cycle of that ASIN too, right? And that now's the time to start to increase those purchase quantities too, because for the next 2-3 weeks, there's as little new competition getting onto the market as there is all year. There's more demand than there is all year. There's more price increases than there is all year, for example, too. So, I definitely think it's a good idea to go hard in terms of purchase quantities now, especially once an ASIN's proven.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's not for us to tell you how much to spend and how much to go into debt and all those sorts of things.
Oh,
but,
yeah, that's a much different story. Much different story on that. Yeah.
But I mean, we also have to consider the worst case scenario, right? To your point, if you're buying a product at 40% ROI, the worst case is you return it to the store and get your money back and keep it moving, right? Considering FBM. That's really the worst case. So say you buy an extra 10, 20, 30 that you're not super sure about. Say you sell 20, 25 at the price point you wanted, it drops a little bit. Say you don't want to sell at that lower price, just return them and keep it moving, right? Gain the iterative knowledge, gain the market data. And more importantly, start to document all of these things in a Google sheet, right? You should be really, really, really starting to comprise your own tools for Q4 success. What products you're buying, when you're buying them, how much are you buying, what sales were you hitting up, links for those sales, right? The sorts of timelines for those sales. When's velocity on certain items starting to pick up, right? Start to store all this information. Any sellers that are maybe focused on Q4, right? Any particular products that are seasonal that you're hopping on, right? So next year, come next October, November, you can use and store all this sort of stuff. So now you don't have two hands next Q4, it's four, right? It's six, and you're compounding your time and effort.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Some people have really strong opinions about the returning items, so obviously you got to audit your own strategy,
Right. Yeah.
personally in terms of that and everything. But yeah, right. In that, if there was ever a time to buy a little bit more than you think you should on a per item basis, obviously it depends on capital availability, risk tolerance, etc. Now's totally the time. You bring up a really really good point in respect to documenting what you're learning, right? And a couple ways you do that, right? One tool that's been phenomenal for me, especially the last year, is keeping a Google Doc of different storefronts that you come across. Because the cool thing is, the average OA product really only comes from one place, right? So
Right.
then once especially like on a brand base, now some bigger brands obviously are different than that, but most items really only do come from a couple websites, right? Therefore, once you know where they come from, you know where they come from, then you have to just consistently figure out when those items are good, which comes to using SellerAmp Google Sheets. And Keepa tracking alerts are phenomenal. If you look on Keepa, you'll see the tracking tab right there. You can click that. You can get an email notification or a Telegram notification, interestingly enough, when a buy box hits a certain point or more or
I think
less.
you also get a text.
Really, they update?
I
Oh,
think
that
so.
would be
Yeah.
so expensive. Okay, cool. More power to if they did that. Phenomenal. I hope that's correct. And then if you hit Pro at the bottom on tracking alerts, you can also get notified when competition goes below a certain point too, which is super gangster as well. Now, on the product research side of things, right? Now is a great time to keep buying inventory because more items are profitable than ever, right? Retail arbitrage is the best. Pickup orders is the best right now to get stuff in hand quick. Online arbitrage, not the end of the world whatsoever, especially on retailers that have very cheap expedited shipping or some type of membership or some type of loyalty or rewards where you can get discounted or free expedited shipping, right? But still, I mean, if you order something December 6th and it gets here December 9th, you're still in a great position. You can get a couple sales cycles of that thing. FBM, tested light, get it listed immediately. Some sellers will even list items before they arrive. Merch field, you just have to make sure you obviously trust the retailer. Maybe only do half the units in that case too. You don't source Q4 products. You don't source for Q4. You buy stuff that is profitable today. And for the vast majority of people, that should just be storefront stocking because the competitive advantage isn't finding stuff that's good, isn't finding some crazy hard to find product. It's the items you see in people's storefronts that have a crap ton of reviews, that have a great sales rank. It's making those listings good. That's the competitive advantage. That's what people can't do. And that if you look up certain brands, they only come from the brand website. Therefore, the brand website has to be where people are getting them. And then the competitive advantage isn't finding it on the website. That's easy. Google will do that for you.
Yeah.
It's making it good. So how do we actually make those listings good?
Yeah, I mean, so you have an entire toolbox of things, right? So you have coupon codes, you have writing into customer service, you have different sales cycles, you have obviously no sales tax states, you have FBM, which on certain items, if you toggle back from FBA to FBM, considering if it's lighter or what the FBM shipping is, it creates extra profit if you FBM those items. Discounted gift cards, right? So those are 4, 5, 6 right there that you can bring an item from $40 to 28 to 31, and that could be your profit that most people aren't seeing.
Exactly. Especially if an item's like break even off the Google search, you almost always know you're going to make money on it. Specifically, so like the order of operations, right? Locate good products. Locate vetted Amazon listings, which is either going to be storefront stalking or keep a product finder. For most
And
people,
oftentimes, if you're looking in a store, it's already vetted. That's the beauty. That's the benefit.
That's
the
a good point. Very good point. Yeah.
That's the power of storing storefronts that you think are interesting, that you think are trustworthy, and that are selling the same sorts of things. Because when you're in that storefront, especially in the SellerAmp view, those products are already vetted. And if they're not, SellerAmp makes it so easy to vet them. It gives you the keeper chart. It gives you the sales ring. It gives you the estimated buy cost. It gives you all those sorts of things in a nice portrayal, quick to easy to digest view. where you can bet in a storefront easy, as opposed to being in a seller in like an actual OA site.
Oh, so
where you,
hard for beginners, man.
where
Yeah.
you can't necessarily go through all those. It takes 5 minutes to find the Amazon listing, calculate the price, look at the keeper chart, as opposed to reverse sourcing and qualifying early and using Amazon to qualify and back into the buy cost, which again, as I always talk about, it's the sliding scale. Your buy cost is going to be the most variable piece of the pie. So you might as well save that for the end.
Yeah. So order of operations, right? Like I was saying. So find good listings, right? Not manual sourcing, not going on random websites and looking through their sales section. Do that once you've made money from a retailer, right? Find good listings. Keep a product finder, storefront stalking. For most people, it's storefront stalking, right? Locate good listing, Google them, identify what retailers carry those products. In most cases, honestly, on most brands, it's only a couple places or one place. And then we got to go through the checklist. Does this retailer take a reseller certificate, right? Which comes from Googling, does XYZ website take tax exempt? Is there any coupon on Capital One Shopping, on Coupon Birds? Is the cash back from Rakuten popping? Are there any discounted gift cards on Cardbear? Is there a pop-in loyalty rewards program? Does an email coupon or a text coupon pop up when you go to the retailer? Or does it show on the bottom of the screen of the retailer like Dick's Sporting Goods does? For example, is there a holiday sale going on? If there's a holiday sale going on, can I combine those other discounts with the holiday sale? In most cases, you can. In some cases, you can't. But you figure that out per different retailer, and you only got to learn it once. There's a discount that I've used this week that Garrett and I learned about in February of 2021, right? Almost 4 years ago, and it's still there. And I was literally worried about it. I remember thinking to myself, I was like, shit, man, we're making a lot of money with this. What if this goes away next week, bro? Am I going to be able to find profitable stuff still? And here we are 4 years later. That discount got better during Black Friday. It literally got better, right? Which shows kind of negative inflation in that respect too. Now, what types of items do best during Q4?
First and foremost, the items that you already have proven, right? The items that you already have audited, the items that you know work, that you trust, that you can buy without hesitation. Those are the first, right? And so second would be the adjacencies off of those, the different variations, the different products within that same brand, the different products that the competitive sellers on that product are selling. Those are 3 pivot points right there that are going to lead you to hundreds and hundreds of product opportunities. Products you already in your catalog, ASINs around those products, right? The good ASINs hanging out in the adjacencies of those products. And then all like the obvious stuff that we've talked about, right? Any sort of like winterish item, football stuff, basketball stuff, hoodies, sweatshirts, sweatpants, basketball hats, gloves.
Seasonal grocery is a huge one right
Exactly.
now too. Yeah, no returns and very easy to understand, no variations. Yeah, but the big thing, like Garrett was saying, is just whatever you already sell best is going to do the best, and then whatever your main competitors are selling on listing. That if you got a couple listings from one brand, go to the buy box analysis feature on SellerAmp, right? You might need to activate in your settings, and put them all next to each other and see if there's any common names between the sellers. There probably are. And those are people that are going to have other listings from those brands that have a very similar business model to you. They're most likely sourcing from the same places, right? And then they'll have other stuff in their storefront from adjacent brands that are probably similar categories. And there we go. For example, right there. And that's how you build a good catalog. You test light, go do some retail arbitrage, hit up your local discount stores, right? There's, like I was saying earlier, as little competition all year getting on the stuff, right? Prices are going up, right? Competition's going out, especially like next week, prices are going up, right? And that's kind of a nice segue too. If something's selling well for you, consider testing a little bit higher price wise. See if you can drag the buy box up a little bit, right? I've sold a couple hundred units in one day of one SKU and took the buy box price up over 20%. But that wasn't all at one time. That was going like, shit, man, can I get an extra $1.50 out of this thing? Let me hop in the buy box, check back 2 hours later, right? Okay, it worked. Oh, wow, it's selling just as well. And 3 more people just dropped off in the past 12 hours. Let me test another dollar high, right? It's an ever evolving thing. You got to be on top of this stuff to maximize your profit. But the cool thing is, if you can get an extra, $2 out of a specific product for the next week, your time sourcing that item just got 25% more valuable if it's $8 profit or roughly based on that math, right? So that's a good tip too.
Very huge. I mean, you have to be really, really in tune with your ASINs. Assuming you don't have, hundreds and hundreds of items, assuming you have, 5, 10, 15, 20, right? You should be so in tune with these markets, with these ASINs, that the sellers, the big sellers on those products, the sorts of price points you're expecting, the oscillation. And you should really be fighting to stay in stock across the board on all these, right? Because the longer you stay in stock, the more leverage you have with addressing that price, the more Amazon's going to trust you on those markets. And it's so much compounding benefits by simply just staying in stock.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And don't necessarily see that as the kind of thing where like you should avoid selling out your last couple units.
Oh yeah,
Make
yeah.
money. Yeah, make money. But in general, get the big, it's not an algorithmic thing in respect to like your in-stock rate. It's more so a financial thing in terms of like keep those things in stock and buy more and keep printing the wealth right there. Other things that benefit you really positively in respect to pricing. Um increase your shipping template cost. So interestingly enough, sometimes Amazon will say no for $40 for next day shipping. Sometimes they'll say yes. There's no consequence to getting a quick email. Yo, lower this, not a big deal, right? So we typically recommend like $30 plus $1 per pound. Increase that up. Increase that up. I see people getting $70 for expedited shipping right now. And if you're shipping stuff same day, like you probably should be, and Amazon's charging you 13 and a customer pays 46 or 51, right?
So that's
You just made extra
yeah.
profit to the bottom line, right? And it increases the gross margin on that overall on that item as well. And that's why, like, you'll notice on paper, some people will be at like a 28% ROI with FBM, but they're getting multi-unit orders for FBM, which are more efficient. They have their shipping templates down, which are more efficient, right? And that juices some extra profit right there. And that's like some added benefits you really only see when you've been in the game a little while, for example, which are really helpful too. Another great thing, there's a home and kitchen brand I've been doing with a lot of my coaching guys where there's bundles. So we'll find like a 4-pack storefront stock and I'll be like, all right, type in that same item, the title without the
2-pack,
pack.
3-pack,
Exactly,
5-pack.
right? And the Amazon SEO will just show you the other good listings that are adjacent to that because it makes sense for the customer to see that when they search. So Amazon search page data is really, really helpful. And I didn't mean to kind of like plug this here basically, but we have a new SellerAmp Chrome extension that's free with your SellerAmp subscription, which aids on your Amazon search page.
Right.
It embeds a
It's
bunch of good
huge.
data that shows like the sales rank, some other information about the listing, the offer count, for example, too. So it's SellerAmp Quick View Simplified. So it's selleramp.com/QVS. Go add that to your Google Chrome. It's completely free with your SellerAmp subscription. It's just a separate Google Chrome extension to put in right there, and that'll aid on that kind of stuff. But very, very important. Really, just you guys got to understand, like this best couple weeks of the year, take advantage of the stuff. Have fun, learn, document, save the storefronts you've been sourced from, save the leads you've been sourced from. SellerAmp Google Sheets, super helpful with that too, right? Document your progress on social media.
Right.
If you're in different Discords in the success chat, be posting your success, be posting stuff you're messing up, be posting stuff you're learning, right? Tag us, we'll retweet it, for example, too, on Twitter. And that's going to bring good people into your life, similar to what we did back in the day, how Garrett started his Instagram page. I started my Instagram page. Algorithms are good. They connected us to each other. We got on Zoom. We ended up hitting it off, and we've been great friends ever since. And that's a beautiful byproduct of not only the financial freedom you can get through selling on Amazon, but great relationships, which compound. We had no idea we'd have a podcast. And everything like that. So really, really lock in and maximize the next couple weeks, guys. And then we'll be on YouTube live. We're on Twitter. DMs are open. Instagram DMs are open. Discord, feel free to hit us up if you guys got any questions. And check out the rest of the Box Bandits podcast. Get a 2-week free trial of Boxem. Where can people follow you on social media, Garrett?
Right on the screen, Garrett at All Out Amazon.
Most of our listeners are on the podcast platform. So y'all follow the boy right there. All Out Amazon. Uncle Flips from Mouse. Our third host. He's busy building Boxem. You follow him too. Wi-Fi Astronaut. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks a ton for listening. Let's lock in and crush this Q4, y'all.